Cup for stock sports cars. Points leaders, John Heinrichs, Stu Hayner, they're starting back in 8th. They're only 2 points clear of 4 other drivers. 3 teams covered by 2 points, and way up front, your pole qualifier, they're not worried about points. They are in the BMW. Terry Borschuler driving their 15th race, a new team, but they're on the pole in the Cal Street Lazaro Yachts BMW.
And Andy Pilgrim, he has his own streak going. He's going for his 97th consecutive finish here at Sears Point. And that's not just finishing races. He's been on the podium 47 times and 17 race wins. And further back in the touring class, we have John Green going for an unprecedented 5th straight victory here at Sears Point today.
Northern California, welcome to Sears Point Raceway in the California Grand Prix, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax. Today, it's the Speedvision Cup for the stock sports cars. I'm Gary Lee alongside Jeremy Dale. And Jeremy, we actually have 4 races within a race.
Absolutely. There's a lot of cars on the racetrack here, and there are 4 different classes, as you mentioned. So there are 4 separate races going on here, 4 separate championships. So it's a little difficult to keep track of, but we'll do our best.
61 cars all out there right now lining up as we take a look at our wheel source starting grid. The first 23 cars are in the Grand Sport division. The fast qualifier yesterday, Terry Borschuler with a new track record at 82.7 miles an hour. You see the actor Jason Priestley starting inside the second row. A former teammate of his, Maxwell, starting outside. And we can tell you that the fast qualifier in the sport class was Scott Peeler in a BMW at just over 78.8 miles an hour. He'll be starting back in the 24th position. Greg Stanton was the fast qualifier in touring. He'll be starting back in 33rd position. And the fast qualifier in the compact class will start 44th. That is Mike Courtney. He also set a track record yesterday in his Miata at just over 76.3 miles an hour. Once again, 61 starters. This will be a timed event, 3 hours in length, couple of pit stops, and of course the driver changes as well, which is unique to this type of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these cars, it's a 3-hour event. They will need to stop, depending on the car, obviously they'll need to stop between probably 1 and 2 times, maybe 3 times for some of the cars. So there will be a number of driver changes.
Taking a look now at this track here at Sears Point in Sonoma, California.
Yeah, what a tremendous racetrack this is. Tons of elevation changes, fast corners, slow corners, great passing areas there down in turn 7. At the furthest point away from the pits there, and of course into turn 11, the last corner, tremendous passing opportunities in both those areas.
Once again, a 3-hour timed event, but again, because of the length of the race, we'll have some pit stops, some driver changes. The green flag is out, and look at that, 4 and 5 wide, headed for the first turn. A little bumping right there.
Yeah, that's a big flare there, and that M3, that's not where you want to drop a wheel there. You're going about 130 miles an hour there.
And one of the Mustangs off the track right there on that incline.
They've done a lot of work at this racetrack, a lot of grading, so it's a little friendlier now if you go off the racetrack in some of these areas.
That was Scott Maxwell that took the off-track excursion. They're back on now. They're getting that parade single file up through the top elevation. We have actually had part of this spectator area shaved off. Part of this hill off to your left right there has been shaved away for better sight lines for the race fans.
Yeah, and of course, as I mentioned, getting off the racetrack. Look at this great racing down into the carousel here, the 2 Toyotas, and there is our pole-sitting BMW back in about 5th place, so a rough opening lap there for the pole-sitter.
Nick Ham is out in front in car number 70, teaming with Sylvain Tremblay that we saw so successful last year. There's one of the BMWs, number 54. That was your pole car. That is... Scooter Gable actually started the car. Borschuler was the qualifier yesterday. But, in that fracas at the start, there was a big scramble up in front, and he dropped back to that 4th position.
Yeah, and these opening laps in these races, you know, when you have over 60 cars on the racetrack, these opening laps are always a little frantic. Of course, all the quicker cars out in front, the Grand Sports cars, these cars you see here, the Mustangs, the Camaros, the Mazdas, Toyotas, M3 BMWs, and so on. They are out in front and scrambling for positions in these early laps, but there's plenty of scrambling for positions going on further back in the field with all the various classes.
Jason Priestley right there in the 2nd position, car 98. There is a battle for 3rd as Scooter Gable takes the outside, going into turn 1, looking to move up 1 position.
Very quick section of racetrack here, probably approaching about 130, 135 miles an hour in what are essentially stock street cars. You can see the drivers there dropping a couple of wheels.
Of course, there's that one tight section back in the hairpin. Apparently an altercation there on that very opening lap. We saw them go 4 and 5 wide at the start. One driver got off course earlier, and this is action from the hairpin on the first lap.
Yeah, this is turn 11, and you can see these two Firebirds going at it. 61 car getting forced to the inside, and that's fairly harmless, hitting those tires. Probably not a lot of damage on that car, but that's the kind of action you get in the early laps in these Speedvision Cup races.
We talked about the car, depending on the car, how many pit stops. The car leading right now was known last year as a gas hog. And this car does not get good gas economy.
No, as a matter of fact, the Firebirds are the best on fuel economy. The Mazda is probably the worst. The Mustangs and Toyotas falling somewhere in between. Of course, the M3 BMWs are also very good. But yes, as you mentioned, this Mazda very tough on fuel, and these are the guys that really want the full course yellows more than anyone else to have that opportunity to duck into the pits and get fuel.
We got a glance of the 29 car running back there in the third position. Rich Rutherford actually started this race in 9th, so you saw that big scramble right at the start. And although every driver's meeting will have the warning, you cannot win the race on the first lap of the first turn, you guys got to do it in every race anyway.
Well, sure. You know, you think about this race being a 3-hour race, but track position is critical, and you can see the power of that Toyota on the straightaway there going by the M3. The M3, the better handling car. The Toyota, the more powerful car.
Let's go back in the pack because there's action all over this racetrack. A couple of cars getting together. That is Way, and he is way out of line off the track.
Yeah, this is an area where a few years ago we saw a stock car actually leave the park. That's a Toyota Supra, but also in the sports class, not in the Grand Sport class.
Early and unscheduled pit stop for car 93. Rather unique entrance to the pit lane here.
Yeah, and this is a little damage on the front of that car, so they're probably just going to either tape that bumper up or maybe just haul it off or maybe just leave it. There you go.
Yeah,
let's just leave it.
Very quickly and back out, so let's leave the damage as it is and get that car back on the racetrack for racetrack position.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
2.5-mile, 12-turn circuit. As you indicated, lots of elevation changes. This is a fun racetrack.
It is. You know, for anyone that is serious about road racing, this is about as good as it gets.
We are right in the early stages of a 3-hour timed event for the Speedvision Cup, all part of the racing here at Sears Point International Raceway. We're coming right back. The ultimate driving machine. A beautiful day here in the wine country of Northern California, the Napa Valley area, where the Speedvision Cup 3-hour event is underway. It's not always so glorious to be the fastest qualifier because sometimes you don't start the race. Let's go pit side and Calvin Fish.
Well, the number 59 machine, the pole sitter in the sports division with Mike Doolan behind the wheel, is in early. It seems like they have a gear shift problem. They believe it's in the linkage. They've got the car up on jack stands right now, and the crew has gone back to the paddock area to try and find some tools to try and correct the problem. But we've seen it before in this type of racing. You can come back. One of the crew guys has now got a flashlight. They've got some wire there they're going to try and fix it up with, but obviously valuable time being lost here under green flag racing.
So the BMW in the pit lane, Scott Peeler was the fast qualifier, but his teammate Mike Doolan actually started the race. So let's talk about strategy just a bit, why a specific driver starts and perhaps the guy that qualified doesn't.
Well, you know, there are various strategies you can use. It depends on, you know, if you have two drivers that are just as fast as each other, or if you have one that's slower and one that is faster. This Firebird looks like it's actually smoking a little bit. Maybe it just runs.
Stu Hainer, who's leading the points right now, starting. Well, right now he's in the 7th position after starting 8th. So we'll watch for some signs of smoke there.
Yeah, maybe that car just runs a little bit rich. But you know, Stu Hainer and his teammate John Heimersey, good example of a very strong team. Both very good drivers, very experienced. It doesn't really matter who starts the race and who finishes the race. And and who runs for longer or shorter, they're both very capable drivers. But sometimes you don't always have that balance in a team the way they do. And so sometimes you have to strategically, you know, put either the slower guy in. Usually put the slower guy in first and then put the quicker guy in to finish up. But this team, as we said, Stu Hainer is the points leader and just a very solid team. He and John Heinrichs have been driving together for, you know, I would say more than 10 years now.
Well, of course, some people use this type of racing as a springboard to other forms of racing, but he's been around here for a lot of years. He's kind of found a home. As you see, there's some great camaraderie within the team. The team has been together for a long, long time, and he has found himself a home in this Speedvision Cup. He continues to run back in the 7th position. What a record he has had. We had a chance to visit with him yesterday about running in this class of event.
Well, actually, I started in open wheel cars. I started in Super Vs, went on to Atlantic, and I end up, in fact, I came up here to the Bob Bondurant School and drove a showroom stock car, and I really enjoyed the way they drove and could throw them around, and you could have a lot of fun with them. I'm one of the guys that probably is really weird that I almost feel that, you know, a really good race for second is better than just having a win that nobody cares, that you're just out in front and don't care about. And that's what this series brings. It's exciting. It's exciting for the drivers. Once the fans get, you know, used to seeing the cars and know the different classes, it's very exciting for the fans. So that's what I like about it. In this type of series where you have to have a second driver, I couldn't get a better driver. I mean, John Heinrichs and I have driven together for 11 years. We've won championships together. We've won lots and lots of races, and we enjoy working together. We work very close together as far as cars set up, and so that is, you know, a big factor. And I think it's a combination of good pit strategies from the crew, good car preparations from the crew, John being able to go out there and just drive the pants off the car, and so, you know, to be in the lead of the championship is just it's a lot of pieces put together to make that pie whole. There's a lot of drivers out here that John and I have teamed with over the last 15 years that we've shared all this information on how to do it, which is unfortunate because now they're going to their teams and telling them how to do it and how to win championships. So it's going to be a tough one. I can't really give you a forecast on this one. I hope we're able to finish in the top 5, I guess, and anything better than that will be Yahoo.
Well, of course, that was recorded yesterday. Jeremy, just before we went to that soundbite, we noticed that there was some smoke. So let's check in now with Greg Creamer and see if John Heinrichs has some indication of what the problem may be.
Well, gentlemen, in the piece, Stu said John can drive the wheels off the car. He may have to drive his arms off the car. We understand a power steering problem, John.
Yeah, it sounds like he lost the belt. We might have had a pump seize, but I think we lost the belt because the alternator is not charging either, and that usually means the belt went. So when he comes in, they should be able to put a belt on and we'll be okay. We'll just have to see.
I would suspect you're hoping they can get the belt on because that'll get the power steering going. If not, you're in for a tough afternoon.
Yeah, well, I doubt that we can make a race without the charging system working too. But I'm pretty sure he'll stick it out until we have to come in for a pit stop, and then we'll make whatever corrections we have to make during a regular pit stop or during a yellow.
Well, some interesting developments for the point leaders, gentlemen.
Well, there's a look at the driver back in 7th position, but up in front, the number 70 car of Nick Ham continues to lead. He's opened up that margin to about 3 seconds over Terry Porcheller with that much time remaining in this 3-hour timed event.
On the grass there, so if he hits them hard enough, he can knock them over, which he has. It's not. I don't think those are the type of barriers that are buried into the ground.
But they weigh about 2 tons, so it takes a pretty good force to knock those things over.
Yeah, they are heavy.
He'll have a good case of racing rheumatism tomorrow as the safety crew continues to work. There is the red flag. The time continues to roll as we're under a red flag situation here at Sears Point. Welcome back to the Toshiba Copiers California Grand Prix from Sears Point Raceway. We feature the Speedvision Cup, and we have been under a lengthy red, although now the cars are back on the track behind the safety vehicle. It occurred back in turn 9. Bob Lowry in the Mazda slammed the outside wall, and there is the diaper holding what fuel was left in that fuel cell that was ripped free of the car. Apparently, Jeremy dropped the wheel off until he lost control.
Yeah, it looked like he dropped a wheel and probably spun to the inside and hit those barriers, and he's probably glad that those barriers weren't tied down because he hit them with such energy that he actually knocked them over. So probably a good thing for him. Let's go to Greg Kramer.
Well, it's interesting. That car, the team car of the leading car, the Speed Source Mazda number 70 with Nick Ham behind the wheel, they've been battling furiously with Scott Maxwell. And irony playing a hand here for the simple reason that that team car probably solved the fuel issue for the leading number 70. They needed 39 minutes of yellow. Well, they got a lot of red time. Probably now we'll be able to do it in one stop. I'm sure they didn't want to sacrifice a car, but at least that's an upside. Now, there's, of course, 3 other classes running. Let's check in with Cal.
Well, an update on the other 3 classes. Taz Harvey currently leads in the sports division in the number 86 Honda Prelude, and he says he's been having quite a battle out there with the BMWs. He joked there's some body damage on one of the BMWs. I think to repair that will cost more than the cost of this Prelude that I'm driving. In the touring class division, John Norris in the number 03 is currently leading. Craig Stanton put that car on the pole, but John won a couple of races last year when teamed with Mark Mitchell, and that 240SX, even though it's moved up a class, is still very competitive. And down in the compact division, Joe Jordan in the Mazda Miata said, no problems, I'm having fun. So these guys are ready to roll again after this red flag period, and it should be plenty of action once again.
Well, once again, joining us here in the broadcast booth, Bill Auberlen, who is a veteran of this division. In fact, the car that's running second right now, Terry Borcheller, you have an intimate relationship with that car, do you not? Because you've done a lot of testing in that car.
Yeah, when that car was when it first came out with the new engine program, which is the Group N engine from Europe, which is the much higher horsepower engine, that car all of a sudden became very competitive. We developed it. It got to the front row in Atlanta. And they have some reliability problems with the rear ends, but I think they're getting it sorted out, and it is sure fast here.
You were mentioning earlier before the broadcast about the track idiosyncrasies. A lot of the rubber balls, the marbles, build up on the edge of the racetrack, and should you get a wheel over in those, it'll take you right off the track.
Yeah, no doubt. Right where that Mazda went off, if you get a little wide off the line there, that is going to take you for a big ride, just like we saw. That's a very high-speed part of the track. And you've got to be very careful to stay right on the line.
Of course, you see the American flag flying on top of the BMW. We're going back to racing. The clock continued to run because we do have a curfew here in the Sonoma area. We're in the Sonoma Valley outside of Sonoma, California, and there is a 6 p.m. local time curfew. So the race began at 3 p.m. local time, and the race will have to stop at 6. So despite the red flag with no action, the clock continued to run.
Yeah, and you can see Nick Ham got a great restart there. Look at this this Mustang of Scott Maxwell was very close to him when we went red, and what a great restart for Nick Ham. Look at that little power slide coming off turn 4 down the hill there. That corner's very slow, really falls away from you.
Well, the leader, of course, as you indicated, getting a good start, good battle back there. There's the 27 car.
Yeah, and this is really a battle here, this Mustang and BMW. Real battle between brute horsepower and handling. The BMW, which was on the pole, kind of got snookered at the start and fell back to 5th or 6th and is now working its way back up. But look at the BMW under braking. That car has just tremendous brakes. The Mustang maybe a little bit compromised on brakes because of the weight. Nice high shot there, got a great run off the corner.
Oh, 2-car crash off the racetrack. Of course, the rear deck lid open on one of the cars.
And that looks like the area we were looking at before. Look at the right side of that car. That right front wheel looks like it might come off before he gets it.
Coming out.
Yeah, that right front wheel, we better keep an eye on that car because that right front might actually come off the car there if he tries to drive it at any kind of pace back to the pit lane. You can see it rubbing and obviously wildly out of alignment.
You know, just before that altercation there, Bill, we saw the outside attempt to pass by Terry. Now, that is where we talked about those marbles starting to gather up. That's a dangerous place to try an outside pass. Yeah, well, turn 7 and under braking is going to be one of the best places to pass there, and also turn 11 where it under brakes. The BMW, the strong point of it, it's got great brakes. The acceleration of the Mustang, they're going to always come off the turns a little bit stronger, but he's got to use that BMW under handling and under brakes. Look at this, 2 wide coming through turn 11.
Yeah, look at this race back in the back.
Actually, 3 wide.
3 and 4 wide here coming through turn 11. You know, on these restarts, everyone is bunched up. No one has really settled in yet. So this is classic short and stock racing here.
Little rubbing, little bump steer.
Well, absolutely. These guys, there you go. Look at this. These guys are not afraid to touch and get together and rub a little bit. You know, the cars are pretty hardy. They will take a bit of abuse. So, you know, do a little rubbing isn't the end of the world.
Now, there's one you wouldn't expect to see on a racetrack. See that Honda Civic, that blue number 8 Honda Civic? Looks like you're on your way to the grocery store. Here he comes.
Well, for many years up in Canada, they had a series just for Honda Civics, a little spec series. And those guys used to...
lean on each other?
Oh, my God. They used to... absolutely the most popular race at any race weekend because usually 3 or 4 cars would end up on the roof.
If you look at some of our shots, you can see where the grass is gone off the hillside, and it's just dirt. They actually planed down part of the terrain here for better sight lines for the race fans. Calvin, back to you in the pit lane.
Well, Michael DeFont has brought the 09 Pontiac in, and severe damage to the rear end, and particularly to this right front corner. As you can see here, obviously there's severe damage here to the upright in some description. The crew are going to work, but this one should be a lengthy start because the wheel was literally hanging off as he brought it into pit lane. And Greg Cream has a story further down pit lane.
Well, the number 77 Mazda, the third of the Speed Source cars in. Lots of damage to the right front corner. They are working feverishly trying to get that dealt with. But again, I guess there's an awful lot of action on track, guys.
Yeah, we've got the 33 car here off in the S's.
Mike Weinberg has spun and made contact. You can see the damage from the rear of the car.
Yeah, and that is a very hard hit as well. And again, a very fast part of the racetrack. That's very close to where that other... Oh, yeah, look at that hit. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that car actually lost that rear wheel because the wheel should not come off that car. That car might have lost a rear wheel.
Let me show you the very tail end of what happened. It's already backwards off the racetrack. You're right. There's the wheel bouncing around.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't show definitively. There goes the wheel about to take off onto the racetrack, turning right. But certainly, I wouldn't be surprised if that car lost a rear wheel.
Well, a full course yellow, and if there were any doubts, Bill, about fuel economy, it looks like these guys are getting their wish, and they've got lots of laps under yellow and that lengthy red. So once again, we're under a full course yellow. There is the time remaining as we continue to showcase the Toshiba California Grand Prix featuring the Speedvision Cup. After a lengthy yellow, we welcome you back to Sears Point. The drivers have been given the furl flag, indicating one more lap before we turn them loose. There's Mike Fitzgerald. He's 17th overall. Jeremy, I think we can talk to him.
Yeah, let's do that. Mike Fitzgerald, Jeremy Dale in the Speedvision booth. I'm fine. How are you? So this race so far has been a little bit disjointed. Are you having trouble settling in?
Yeah, I've settled in pretty nicely a couple of times, and then had big wrecks in front of me, and it's cost me a little bit. But we're all right. We're in second place right now, so we're hanging in there.
Did you see either of those two cars go off, the Mazda, which caused the red flag, or that Firebird that caused this yellow? Did you see either of those two cars go off the road?
No, I didn't. I was fortunate enough to be on the other side of the track, I think, on both of those, so I missed them both. I did get caught up in a few minor incidents in the Grand Sports Division, which haven't helped us out too much here.
Well, you must be a little frustrated because your car's a very good handling car, and this is certainly a handling track, so you're probably racing with some much faster cars.
Yeah, the Grand Sports cars are a lot of them are kind of tough to get by because, you know, there are few places you can pass here, kind of follow little straightaways.
Well, thanks for talking to us. We may be back to you on another one of these yellow flags.
Hey, thanks, Jeremy.
As Mike indicated, he is second in his class. Car number 81 to BMW, second in the sports class, 17th overall. So it's always nice to catch a little conversation with these guys before we go back to green. Once again, Nick Ham continues to lead this. We have had some pit stops. The 29 car now of Rich Rutherford runs in second position overall. And the 54, I had said Terry Borcheller. Actually, Terry qualified the car for the pole yesterday, but his teammate Scooter Gable is in the car right now, so Scooter's back there in third position. The 92 car of Dave Shard is now in fourth, as we are now set for the restart. The number 98 of Jason Priestley is back in fifth position. And here they come through turn 11. Turn 12, the left-hander coming up to, once again, a green. We're back to racing.
Yeah, and you can see the, again, Nick Ham with a big jump in that Toyota Supra back in third, up to second.
Dave Shard in number 92 out of the Dayton, Ohio area, so he got a good jump on that restart.
Yeah, Scott Maxwell continues to have problems on these restarts. The last one, Nick Ham completely got away from him. In this one, he's actually lost a position, fallen back to third here. The Toyota is now up to second, so we have Toyotas second and fifth.
And you can see all those, the black and yellow cars. We have 5 of them from Joe Aquilani Racing. One, of course, off the racetrack right now because of a crash back in the pit lane.
And of course, you can see that this is a series that used to be dominated by Firebirds, and the cars all at the front are not Firebirds. We've got the Mazda, we've got the Toyota, we've got the Mustang, the BMW. So just recently there was a rule change to allow the Firebird a camshaft change, which according to some of the competitors not driving Firebirds, it was worth 30 or 40 horsepower. According to the guys driving the Firebirds, it's only worth about 10. So
let's ask Bill Arberlin, who is the BMW test driver for this. How much horsepower are they gaining from that?
Well, that's a good question, but I would say they're going to always downplay it in order to try to get more, and that's the way this is a very...
That's the politics of racing.
Oh, sure, you know.
Tell you what, there's some great racing back in the field. Look at that 64 car. Great story about this car. They wrecked this car earlier, needed to replace the engine. Volkswagen had given some press corps members a Volkswagen to drive. They took the engine out of the press corps car and stuck it in this one. I'm not sure how the press guys are getting back to the hotel until they get the car engine back when this race is over.
Well, you can see that motor. That motor's not as strong as their race motor because look at these guys going by him.
Right and left. So they've got a lot of stock components on that race car. And they also have some Volkswagen technicians working on it. But without the horsepower in the engine, he's going to the back of the pack. But at least he's out there racing.
Yeah, look at this into turn 11 here, into this braking zone. These guys are all stacked up behind this GTI. And, but, you know, at least the car is in the race. It's probably not a motor that's as good as their race motor. But you can see the car just getting dusted there on the straightaway. But they are in the race. And these battles, the back in the pack in the sports class, touring class, and the compact class, and so on, are always great.
Well, one thing, Bill, that impresses me about this division, we talked about drivers like yourself that have used it as a springboard. This is a great series for learning how to handle traffic.
Absolutely. Because you got to be so cool when you're running with these guys. You got guys that are all over you. If you take a look here at these guys.
Look at this, 3 abreast, little oops. That's the Dodgems at the amusement park.
Yeah, well, the other Toyota saved him there. He was about to spin, and the other Toyota saved him from spinning.
Chuck Goldsboro in the 88 car was on the inside, and you just simply can't put 2 cars in that same spot. But you were talking about the traffic and how important it is to learn how to handle traffic.
This teaches a driver how to be a cool customer, how to maintain under pressure. Because if you look, there are people right behind you, and they'll stay there, and they'll push you, and it's all about not making mistakes.
And so often when there's the overall field summary, look for your favorite driver, your favorite car, and your favorite number as this 3-hour event continues on. And, of course, now your leaders starting to get into traffic. We haven't seen that in the past because we had the lengthy red and then that long yellow, which stacked them back up behind the pace car.
That's right. And I'm looking here, and I kind of got an understanding of what the BMW driver is going for. He's hoping it goes green longer so that these heavy Firebirds and Camaros start to wear down their brakes, wear down their tires, and eventually he's going to start sneaking by one. He looks like he's pressuring a whole bunch.
Yeah, well, you can see this M3 right on the back of the Mustang. We talked earlier about how the M3 is a much better handling car. It's lighter, it's more nimble, not quite as powerful in terms of brute horsepower, but you know, much better braking than the Mustang, and he just can't get by. I'm sure if he can get by, he could bridge that gap up to second place, and maybe even take this car up towards the front. But the guys in the good handling cars are always the most frustrated, because if they don't have the horsepower to go along with it, it's just tough to be competitive.
So once again, the number 70 Mazda of Nick Ham continues to lead the 3-hour Speedvision Cup event here at Sears Point.